Hello, fifth grade. Today we are going to start a unit on context clues. And if you've been at school, you may have had the library class where you've actually been talking about this in the media center with our librarian as well. And if you haven't, then here we go. Um, Context clues are super important. It may actually be the most important thing we learn about this year because the thing that holds us back in our reading is when we get to words that we don't know. It ruins the meaning of a sentence. It ruins the flow of the book. It might make us frustrated enough to go, I don't want to read this anymore. We have to come up with some strategies to fix that. So we're going to take 7 different kinds of context clues and just look at them one different kind every single day for the next seven days or so until we're sure that we can figure out any word that we come across in our reading and we're not going to let it hold us back. So are you ready? I am going to make myself a little bit smaller here so that you can see some interesting notes on the next page. So hang on. So this is the beginning of our information about context clues, and I put a detective on there because that's kind of what we have to become now. We have to become word detectives and figure out what words mean using some clues that we find. And there are lots of different kind of clues, and those are the context clues we're going to be talking about. So I've titled this Context Clues, everything you need to know about figuring out those difficult or unknown words in our reading. I'm going to pause right here and say to those of you who have been virtual, I may sound a little different today. I did get braces last week. Yay. Maybe I'll see some of you at Great Smiles. Never did I think I would be this age and doing braces, but I'm just re-embracing my childhood and trying to have some better teeth. So if I sound a little funny, I'm sorry. I'm learning how to talk all over again. And those of you who have had or currently have braces, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, let's continue on and learn about context clues. Why are they important? Why do teachers waste your time by talking about them? I promise you we're not wasting your time. These are going to be super important for everything that we do this year. Let's figure out why. They help us define unfamiliar or difficult words in text. And that just means that to define something is to find out the definition, to find out what words mean. They help us become better and more perceptive readers. Perceptive means you can perceive things, you can understand things, you notice things better, which makes reading a whole lot more interesting when you pick up on all the different clues that authors put in their writing. They come in handy during tests, like that pesky EOG that we end up taking every year. I know we got out of it last year, thank you, Corona, but we're not going to get out of it this year. So we have to be ready. And when we're doing those tests, we can't use a dictionary and we can't get on the internet. So we have to be able to figure out these words on our own. It wants me to do this slide again. Do you want to see it again? I didn't think so. Let's move on. So where are context clues found? Well, they can be found in the same sentence as the difficult word or the unfamiliar word. They can be found in the same paragraph or passage as the unfamiliar word. Maybe they're not in the same sentence, but they're in the surrounding sentences. Context clues could be in the sentence following the word, for example. They're called context clues because they're found in the context of the sentence or the passage. Now, we're going to back up from words just a little bit. And we're going to do something that you've learned to do since kindergarten. Since you first started learning to read, your teachers taught you to use the pictures and look for clues to help you understand what the words meant. And just because we're fifth graders now doesn't mean we still can't do that. I do that. When I'm reading articles or even things in a magazine, if they're talking about something that I don't understand, there's usually an illustration or a picture that lets me go, oh, now I kind of get it. Okay, so we are going to use your pictures as clues for words you don't always know. Let's look at the next slide and I'll show you what I mean. I love this picture. So if the sentence that went with this picture was this, and I'm not going to read it out loud, because the problem is when I say the word, you know what it means. But sometimes when we're stuck looking at the word and we don't know what the word is, we kind of miss out on the meaning. So I know that the panda did something down the hill, and I know you're at home screaming the word at me. I'm not trying to find a word you don't know. I'm just trying to show you what we do when we come to a word we don't know. So what does that word mean? Well, look at the picture. What's the panda doing? To me, it looks like he's playing. Okay. Well, the sentence says this is what he's doing down the hill. So how is he getting down the hill? Well, this is a picture and not a video, but to me, it looks like he's rolling or tumbling. So this word right here probably means to roll or to tumble. And we're correct because what is this word? Somersault or somersaulted. The panda somersaulted down the hill. That may not be how you would have ever spelled that word, but that's what that word is. And because we looked at our picture clues, now we know what that word means. So what about this picture? This is actually the cover of a book. And this book was really written for toddlers. My nephew has this book. My nephew is 2. So let's think about 2 or 3-year-olds. This title says Little Excavator. Do you think a typical 3-year-old knows what an excavator is? Now, I have friends with kids that age who definitely know what excavators are because it's their favorite thing in the whole wide world. Um, but I wouldn't have known what an excavator was at 3 because I didn't then, nor do I now care much about excavators. They're neat. I'm glad they do their job, but that's not what I'm into. Oh, I just went too far. Hang on. So, do you know what an excavator is? You probably do. But if you had just seen that word all by itself, would you have had a little trouble with it? We might have. But I can look at this picture. It says little excavator, and I think they put the dog on there not to make you think the dog was the excavator, but to show you that machine is not so much bigger than that dog. It's little. So what do you think an excavator is or does? Well, it's a machine, and what do you think it does? Well, it's got a shovel on one at the end here at the top. It's almost like a pusher, like a plow here. So to me, it digs up or pushes aside dirt. So it's a dirt mover. So unfortunately, we're not always reading books with pictures anymore. So we can't always rely on pictures because either the pictures aren't helpful, maybe it's just a little like pencil drawing at the beginning of a chapter, or there just are no pictures. So we have to rely on the words. And sometimes the author makes it easy for us, and the unfamiliar word is directly defined in the sentence in which it appears, which is super nice. Those definitions are usually set off by commas or dashes, and they may include the use of words as, or, that is, or even in other words, so they tell you another way to say it. So look at this example sentence. Apples, red fruits that grow on trees, are my teacher's favorite food. So if you didn't know what an apple was, we just told you. It's a red fruit. It grows on trees. Now, is that a great definition of an apple? Because I'm pretty sure cherries are also a red fruit that grows on trees, and plums are also a red fruit that grows on trees. We can think of um, lots of things that would fit that definition. But what I want you to see is that it gives you the noun apples, and then there's a comma, and it gives you the definition, and there's a comma, and then it goes on with the sentence. So we don't have to guess what apples are. I don't think we have to guess what apples are anyway, but you get my point. In in this case, the word is defined for you in the sentence, and it usually happens right after the unfamiliar word appears, and it's set off with commas. Just saw that. Here's another example. The arbitrator, the neutral person chosen to settle the dispute, arrived at her decision. Now, arbitrator is not like apples. It's not a word I would know automatically off the bat, or you might not know automatically. But luckily, it tells us an arbitrator is a neutral person chosen to settle a dispute. So it's like when you and your BFF are fighting and you have to get your teacher to decide which one of you is right, because your teacher isn't going to pick sides. She's just going to tell you who's right and who's wrong, hopefully. Haberdashery, which is a store that sells men's clothing, is becoming more common today. Now, haberdashery is not a word you use every day. The sentence tells me exactly what a haberdashery is. It's a store that sells men's clothing. And I've also decided that haberdashery is a fun word to say, and I'm going to use it more often. Join me, won't you? Let's look at another example. Actually, we're going to look at lots of examples because we're going to go now and complete the assignment for today. And it's called Number 1 Context Clue. We're going to look at definitions and pictures. Now, people, listen. This may be the easiest 100 you've ever made because the answers are literally in the sentence or in the picture. Take your time and be careful so that you don't make careless mistakes. So you've already opened up this assignment. That's how you got to today's video, but I want to read through it with you really carefully and really quickly. Context clue, this is the number 1 we're talking about, definitions and illustrations. It says watch the video lesson, that's what you're doing now, below to learn about using definitions and pictures or illustrations as context clues to determine word meanings. Then go determine the meaning of the capitalized words in the sentences below. Make sure your choice makes your sentences make sense. If you choose something that gives us a sentence that's nonsense, you're not right. First thing you need to do is write your first and last name here. I should not have to say use appropriate capital letters. Your name always begins with a capital letter. Your first name, your middle name, and your last name always begin with capital letters. Please do that. Here are your instructions. Read each sentence below. Pay attention to the word in capital letters. Choose the correct definition for the capitalized word in the sentence. Use clues from the pictures or look for the definition of the unfamiliar word in the sentence as the biggest clues to the correct meaning. The manager wanted a weekly inspection, which is a methodical examination of all the equipment. So the capitalized word is inspection. I have to choose the definition of inspection from these choices. Now there's a picture. And here's the sentence that goes with it. The leopard seal's mouth was about to engulf the penguin. You have to tell me what you think engulf means based on this terribly frightening picture. So you're going to have a sentence and choices, a sentence and a picture and choices. You have 5 pictures and 5 sentences. Y'all, these pictures were so much fun to pick out. And when you're done, you should check over it because that's the smartest thing to always do, and then submit. And as always, if you have any questions at all, you should let me know. Email me. I am pretty quick to email you right back. But let me tell you this. When you send me an email or you send me a message on Google Classroom and it says, I don't get it, I can't help you. We have been over 1,000 things today, from opening up a form to talking about definitions and sentences to looking at pictures. You have to be specific when you tell me you don't get it. I need to know what it is that you don't get so that I can help you. When you say you don't get it, that leads me to believe I need to start over. And what it actually leads me to believe is you haven't listened to any of the assignments on video. If you're not watching the videos, well, then you're obviously not seeing this right now, so I'm preaching to the choir here. Help your friends understand that they wouldn't have as much trouble with their work if they would just watch the video. Because we do kind of explain it in the videos pretty well, I think. And again, I'm here to help. So always email me. But be specific about what I can help you with so that I can best help you. And we don't have to waste our time emailing back and forth silly questions. Okay? All right, you guys. Go be a detective and figure out the meanings of the words in all of those sentences. And I will see you again next time. Bye.